We have 5 questions. The first, in your opinion, which are the main challenges for tackling poverty in Latin America?
Well, as I said, I've only been in Colombia for 1 week,
Okay.
so I don't believe in pretending to be an expert when you're not. So what I've learned in this week is the main challenge is a challenge of inequality, that there's extraordinary talent, there's proximity to very powerful markets. Latin America is a powerful market itself. And so if I would, from a very preliminary perspective, it's where are those entrepreneurs that are specifically looking at working with low-income populations, including developing local supply chains and local markets. That there seems a huge opportunity to me. The second, and I can only speak of Colombia, and again as a neophyte, but the second would be in the rural areas, especially where there's low trust and low skill from all the violence and still insecurity. That's where I think there's a real opportunity for truly patient capital that has to be combined with philanthropic support to create skills, to build community understanding, and to enable entrepreneurs to take risks and try new approaches.
In this context, what is the role of the public sector to generate conditions for social innovation to flourish in this country?
I'm glad you asked it in terms of the creating the conditions rather than expecting government itself to do the innovation. Government can build infrastructure. Government can provide safety. Government can ensure that the laws actually work. And government can provide resources to allow some of the non-profit elements to support the building of businesses. Government can look at taxation for social entrepreneurs that are building business models that will take a long time to break even. There really is no research and development money for this sector, and that's a place that government could provide it, but in partnership with those private entrepreneurs that in many ways I think are leading the way to ultimately then partner with government, which can help take it to scale, to real growth.
Another question is also with Latin America. You can take it in Colombia as well. Where is Latin America setting trends in social innovation or social entrepreneurship?
That one I can answer from Latin America, because as someone who works primarily in Asia and Africa, we're really looking to Latin America. We've invested in a rice production farm in Ghana, and the farm itself is using all Brazilian techniques. And in fact, it's so fun to see all of the Ghanaians being trained by Brazilians and speaking Portuguese.
Awesome.
It's awesome. It's so awesome. And we're seeing some of the innovations that I've seen in Colombia, where I'm just learning so much about the partnerships, because a place like Colombia, where the people in government, it's a small group, and it's a fairly small country, so they can actually partner with, for instance, what Santo Domingo Foundation is doing on housing, and create these very interesting financial mechanisms to bring prices down, whereas in other countries where government isn't functioning as well, that would be impossible to do, but it's for me a real beacon. So I think that what excites me about this interconnected world is we're seeing innovation everywhere. We're seeing social entrepreneurs everywhere. And young people are getting more and more alike. They're getting more interested in knowing each other and in these issues, and that's where the hope and the promise is.
From experience, how does being focusing on dignity and justice can change the strategies to overcome poverty? Because the focus is dignity.
And too often we look at inequality and we say, okay, we're rich, they're poor, so we need to help them. We're going to make the decisions for them, and we're going to give them what we think they need to not be poor anymore. You know, my grandmother, by all definitions, was very poor. I never, ever heard the word poor in our family. We thought we were just like everybody else. She walked with great dignity, and I bet if you go to almost all low-income people in Colombia, they don't think of themselves as poor. They might think of their neighbors as poor, but not of themselves. So it's a fundamental rethink of the way that we think about what is poverty and who are poor people, rather than we're all human beings in this together, looking for opportunities. And so what conditions do we have to create to allow each of us to have those opportunities? So it starts with a very fundamental mind shift in the way that we think about poverty, and then it comes to not being ideological, but actually building systems that use the best of the market and recognize we all get where we're going because someone helps us. And how do those two work together?
And the last question.
It's a radical shift.
Yes.
I use pretty language and you don't notice that it's a radical shift in the way that we think about this.
And the last question is ACUMEN FUND exploring Latin America to work here?
We're quietly, supposedly, exploring Latin America.
Yeah.
But what's exciting to me, and again it comes out of frustration and a deep disappointment with traditional development, is that we're not exploring to see how much we're needed. We're exploring to see, are the conditions here, and would we be invited with resources that Latin Americans are willing to put at the table, with talent and with companies in which we could invest, so that we give and we give and we take in a much more balanced relationship than I see too often with traditional development. So yes, we're exploring, but our criteria has to be a mutual criteria, or it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.